This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Fight week is finally here. Bentley Cash. I'm joined by trainer Tony Sims. Felix looks in good shape. Mentally seems right as well. Is that how you've seen it?
Yeah, he's in great condition. I mean, we started training in April, waiting for a date, and obviously we had to wait for the purse bid. So he's sort of been training since January till now. Do you know what I mean? So he's in decent condition.
It seemed quite tense up there, but as we'd expect, there's a huge amount at stake this Saturday night. Of course, they're both unbeaten, so there's always going to be that competitive edge. But you know, it did feel a bit tense up there. What did you think about it, Tony?
Yeah, it's just, you know, the press conferences are all the same, really, aren't they? There's two fighters. They're going to fight on Saturday night. As they said, you know, they sparred 2 or 3 years ago and it didn't go great, and they ain't really seen each other since. So, you know, there's a little bit of frost there between them two. But you know, I think come Saturday night, they're both good professionals, and it'll be a good fight.
Were you at that spar, Tony?
Yeah, I was at the spar.
What do you recall of that?
They just got a bit heated, the spar, and that was it. It happens all the time in gyms, you know what I mean? You see it all the time. Two fighters sparring, and then it just gets heated, and that's it really. But it was no big deal.
Tony, we often hear that, you know, the best fighters in the sport need an opponent of a high level to get the best out of them. Do you believe that Felix Cash is one of them fighters?
Yeah, I think when you look at the middleweight division, I mean, I don't believe in Britain it's that strong really in the middleweights. Like, we've had strong middleweight divisions in the past where you look at the top 10 fighters and you think, wow, that's a strong division. But in the middleweight scene at the minute, there's probably 4, maybe 5 that are, you know, decent fighters, and you know, Denzel and Felix come into that category. They're probably the first, you know, aside from like Liam Williams, they're the next, obviously the next 2 behind him, and you know, I think obviously the winner of this fight, you know, pushes on to like European level.
Is that the plan then, if and when, in your opinion, Felix comes out on top on Saturday night, that you look at that European title, Tony?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, we got offered the opportunity or the choice to fight for the European title or the British title. He had two choices on the table, but as he said earlier in the press conference, we sat down and spoke about it. And I think, like you're saying there, if there's a rival in your division, an unbeaten rival, and he's holding the British title, you know, it's the right thing to do to fight your domestic rival rather than jumping onto European. And you know, I believe that, you know, to win the British belt, he's got the Commonwealth belt already, and then move on to the European title is the right route and the right thing to do.
There was rumours circulating before that if Frank won the purse bids, that you'd look at going down a European title. Where did that actually come from, Tony?
Yeah, but that was never ever the case, because to me it don't really matter what show the fight goes on. Obviously, you prefer it to be, you know, where Felix promoters match him, you prefer it to be on there, but that was never the case. That was never ever the case. He just had 2 choices on the table, what he could have took. And as I say, like, the British title was the title that he wanted. You know, we all thought that was the right thing to do. Box your domestic rival. If you beat the domestic rival, you know, for the British title, then move on to European. It was never the case. That it didn't really matter to us what show it was going to be on at the end of the day. It's a boxing ring, and you know, and 2 fighters.
He kept calling Felix a dirty fighter. What do you think he's referring to?
Felix is a rough ass at the end of the day. He's a rough fighter, you know, and you know that the boxing is fighting at the end of the day, you know, and you got to be a tough guy to be in there. And you know, what you got to realise about Felix, he's a very skilled fighter. You know, he boxed on the GB team for 2.5 years. He's boxed all around the world, boxed the best in the world. You know, he's been in the ring with the Olympic champion from Kazakhstan. You know, he's boxing all tournaments around the world, so he's got a very vast amateur career. So boxing-wise, you know, he's a very skilled fighter, but he's also a rough fighter as well. You know, and he likes to fight inside, and you know, I think that experience he's got there, you know, the GB team, stands him in good stead as a pro as well.
I know he said up there that he believes he stops Denzel Bentley this Saturday night. However, if it does go to the cards, there are no concerns from your team that you won't get a fair shake on being on a Queensbury card here?
No, I mean, they're all British they're all British officials. It shouldn't make a slight bit of difference whose card is on in Britain. It ain't as though we're flying to China and fighting in China with all Chinese officials. You know, it's just it's a British show and British officials. You know, and that shouldn't make a slight bit of difference.
Okay, well listen, we wish you the best of luck with Felix this Saturday night. I do quickly want to ask you about the man that everyone's talking about at the moment in British boxing, CONOR BENN. Just reflect for me on that spectacular knockout of Samuel Vargas, please.
Yeah, I mean, you know, getting it over and done within 82 seconds, I don't think no one see that coming, even me, but I knew he had it in him to obviously beat Vargas, and I thought we would get him out of there, but you know, it just shows you how much he's come on, you know, in the last couple of years really. He's filling into a strong man now. We've always known from even a raw novice that he had power in either hand, but now he's taking it to a different level now. You know, when you start knocking out people of Vargas's calibre, you know, in 82 seconds, I mean, it's made the rest of the world stand up because look, you've seen him in with all the great fighters, Errol Spence, Danny Garcia, you know,
Ortiz Jr.
last time before Conor, and he's given them all quite a good few rounds. You know what I mean? Good rounds to get under your belt, and that's what I was expecting with Conor, to get a good few rounds and obviously take him out in the midway point. But you know how explosive he is. You know, he's got a lot of his Nigel's traits, a lot of his dad's traits, where he can get in there, be explosive, and just take you out at any time. But what I like about CONOR BENN as well is the boxing brain on him. He's got a very high IQ of a boxing brain on him. So, like, if you look at the fight before against the boxer, he outboxed him, you know, and he outboxed him with his jab and his feet and his movement. So, you know, you'll get into a stage now where you're going to watch a blend of the Nigel Benn power, but also a blend of like the smart boxing skills of a smart fighter, and you know, it's a very exciting times for him.
That's a frightening prospect, that, if it does come off. Do you believe, I'm not sure this fight will happen, obviously we've seen Amir Khan's comments, he kind of downplayed it, but do you believe if that fight was made now that Conor would knock out Amir?
I think obviously Conor's we're lining up a fight for him in the summer, but I do believe that fight could be made. You know, if the money's on the table and the money's right, you know, why would you turn it down? And you know, at the end of the day, I know Amir Khan's made a lot of money. There's still big money for him to be made, and you know, he's still a big name in Britain and on the world scene, and you know, I believe down the line that fight could be made.
And just the last one on Sean Porter. Obviously, Amir, it's fair to say, is at the back end of his career, whereas Sean, you know, he's had some really good fights recently. He had a really good fight with Errol Spence. Would you say that Conor is ready for Sean Porter now, Tony, honestly?
Well, we're just going to do our thing, what we're going to do. You know, I've got to sit down with Eddie next week and speaking about his next fight, but that'll be a fight over in the UK. You know, another little step up for him. And then we'll just take one fight at a time, you know. As I was saying, the Amir Khan fight could be made. You don't know, and if we go across to the USA, fights can be made there. But what we got to do is just, you know, do one fight at a time, get one fight out of the way.
Okay, Tony Sims, appreciate your time on IFL TV, and as I said, best of luck with Felix this Saturday.
Thank you very much.